If a church doctrine doesn't sound like the motivations and actions of a good parent, it's pious sounding nonsense. Fresh perspectives that I hope that'll help you as much as they have me. Stop trying to forgive. Stop trying to forgive is an important thing. Both of the points that I want to make find their roots, the power source, in the Holy Spirit. How many of y'all have struggled with forgiveness? Y'all, I'm glad to see I'm in an honest crowd. Well, we all have. The truth is, you've made the right choices to forgive. Though if you're struggling in areas right now or something comes up, which could come up tomorrow or this afternoon or even right now, it comes to your mind, yeah, I've had trouble with that. The truth is, you've made the right choices to forgive. What your battle is not with is forgiving. And it's not forgetting, because you're not going to forget, you're a human being. It's there. There's something else. There's another factor involved. What you're dealing with is the memory of the emotional fallout. The emotion comes back to you. Science tells us that those emotions that you feel, such as at a time when you remember something that happened to you, you are feeling what is registered in your soul is that exact emotion that happened as that offense was taking place. It registered and held on to that, and it's that initial emotion that rises to the surface again when it's triggered by the memory. See, we're not struggling with the act of forgiveness because we've made that choice. The Lord has shown us to make the choice. As a matter of fact, I love this quote. My wife and I heard it the other day on the radio. Forgiving is not God's unreasonable expectation. Although, how many of you know sometimes it seems like it? It's unreasonable that I should forgive them for that. Why would God expect that? That's not reasonable. I don't understand how He would forgive them. Oh, I guess He does. I guess God gets by with not forgiving certain things. That's what some of our doctrines tell us. Forgiving is not God's unreasonable expectation. Forgiving is God's gift for you to use that can heal the wounds in your own heart. Forgiveness is a healing agent. It's not an unreasonable expectation. So what's the solution then for these emotional struggles to forgive? Because we're not taking away from the fact that the Lord talks about forgiving, yes? And I'm emphasizing again, if He talks about it and expects it of us, He functions that way. And so throw out any doctrine that denies that as something that's man-made. The solution is to learn from Jesus. And how did Jesus deal with it? We find in Luke 23:24 the answer. And that's where Jesus was on the cross. Let me tell you what He did say and then what He didn't say. You know, I like to do that. He said, Father, forgive them. They do not know what they're doing. What He didn't say was, Father, I forgive them, because they don't know what they're doing. He said, Father, He handed it off to the Father, because it's with us, we have a choice, but it's how we exercise that choice. And what I want to suggest to you, and what the Lord made real pointed to me just recently on an issue of forgiveness, is that how we do this forgiveness issue is what's important. Not whether we forgive or not, but how we do it. And how we do it is we make the choice to hand it to the one who has the power to forgive and ask the Father to release that forgiveness. And part of what he said is really important there because they don't know what they're doing. Now, that's a revelation that Jesus would have had on the cross. So that's another thing for you to ask the Holy Spirit to do, which only the Holy Spirit can do. Ask him to reveal to you the fact that in all likelihood, in their right minds, they never would have done that. They are only responding in the way that they are responding based upon the fact that something is triggering them that they are now dumping off onto you. They don't know what they're doing. So that's a prayer to pray, a prayer to have the Holy Spirit help you realize, give you an inner perception, an inner feeling. They are responding the way they're responding because of situations and conditions in their life right now. They have perceptions that they've built up in their minds. They have lies that the enemy has told them that is building up in their minds. I'm choosing for you to forgive them. What I'm going to ask of you comes out of something that happened in my meditation time a few days ago. I started seeing images of individuals that had, frankly, done me wrong. At the same time, I'm thinking, yes, Lord, I need to forgive them. Again, I guess, because I thought I already had. You know, I don't know how many, and this is what's going on in my mind. I don't know how many times I'm going to have to go through this. I actually don't understand why it's not working. I know there's a lot of people that would counsel you that would say, oh, it's probably because you didn't really mean it. Bologna sandwich. I meant it. I really did mean it. So I'm not sure what else I can do. And I see these images and I'm trying to say, yeah, I do forgive them, but I forgave them. And then an interesting phrase hit my mind that I hadn't pre-thought because I wouldn't have thought it. Grace salve. Grace salve. And so intuitively I knew what that meant. I knew that was an ointment that the Lord wanted to touch the emotions because, as we said earlier, in the issues of forgiveness, if you've made that choice and you're having difficulty, you're not having difficulty with forgiving. You're having difficulty with the emotions that are being triggered. And so the Holy Spirit, the way that the Father wants to deal with us is to, a balm in Gilead was the old-time song. There is a balm in Gilead that heals the wounded soul. And there's 3 places in the Old Testament it talks about a balm in Gilead, and the very purpose for that is for healing. It's a healing ointment. And they sold it with the frankincense and the myrrh and the different things. They carried these things together. And so the balm, that ointment that came from in Gilead is because that's where it was produced. That's where it grew, in trees that were a little ways from the Jordan River. The balm in Gilead, the area of Gilead. There's a balm in Gilead, and what he talks about in the Old Testament on it is basically, why are you suffering so much? Don't you know there's a balm in Gilead? Why is this happening to you? Don't you know you can come to me for the balm in Gilead? That is what the Holy Spirit was talking to me about. Grace salve, the balm in Gilead. Healing ointment. And so I started saying, all right, Lord, that sounds good. Lord, I ask you, yes, some of that, please. some of that spiritually speaking, that grace balm, that grace salve. Lord, I just ask you to apply that now. And I just kind of sat there with that. And I've got this music going I enjoy. And I just sat there with that. And I'm thinking about receiving that balm. Do you know that those images started to dull out? And they didn't have a bite on them anymore. They became calm. Why was that? Because the grace salve I'd requested was being utilized. So that is my point on don't stop trying to forgive. Most of the time you've already forgiven. What you need now from the Holy Spirit is the salve of His grace. That's one of His graces. It's like a balm of Gilead. Ask Him to help you by applying grace salve into your wound. And it'll cool the wound. And it'll start bringing healing. And then healing, because healing comes with it. And it takes a little space. And if it starts to heat up a little bit again, no, just apply that salve. Don't you know that's the way it does work in the natural? When you put a salve or antibiotic ointment on a cut, you'll reapply it. Sometimes you have to reapply it. Instead of thinking, oh, that must not have worked, or, well, how come that did? Just apply it again. Just apply it again. You know, sometimes we get so spiritually smart, we're stupid. So many of the spiritual principles function on a natural level in the same way.